Hi, my name is Logan Tart, and I'm going to be giving my presentation about my myth that it is impossible for students with communication disorders to learn how to read. And this is a myth debunked about the false beliefs surrounding literacy and students with communication disorders. This myth is important to me as a future educator because I know that students with communication disorders are sometimes not treated equally as other students within the general education classroom. And that is because, like, teachers are not sure how to handle them, like, they are not given the correct tools or equipped with the right kind of guide on how to teach these students, and they believe this myth that students with communication disorders are doomed to never achieve academic success. Um, and a part of that myth is that communication is defined as a code, and that students with these disorders are not able to decode, so they cannot. They struggle with language skills, and therefore they're not going to be able to decode the same words written down on a page. Um, and this is an incorrect idea, of course, that is forced upon those who refuse to become educated on the different ways in which students can learn and grow, as well as the resources and activities that are out there for students with these disorders to become better readers. And it's a great myth that people do believe because in education, like I said, teachers are not equipped with the correct tools. So this is a visual of the myth. We see this child staring at his closed book with kind of a distant look in his eye, as if he is, completely afraid to open this book and read. And this is kind of the idea of what we see in the classroom as, like, general education teachers, that we just push these kids aside to the back of the room, and we are not there for them, helping them in the way that they need it. This is the myth debunked. So, in a study, it stated that children with communication disorders frequently do not perform at grade level, and that is kind of an inevitable fact, because they do have this disability, but that does not mean that they cannot read, and it doesn't mean that they can't have academic success within their own speech language goals. And I think that is one of the most important things, really, is to be aware that these students are need to be focused on their own goals and not general goals, like with the rest of the students in the classroom. So, speech language pathologists are a big part of that, of course, and they work by integrating students' speech language goals with academic outcomes. And I think that is really important because that's to build that bridge between the general education classroom and then outside help. Um, and then that goes, of course, with the teacher being able to work with the speech pathologist and the parents, of course. And so there was another study done where researchers found that 52.9% and 48.1% of children with LI language met this criterion in second and fourth grades, respectively. And the criterion was being that the students were able to read below or above their grade level. So these percentages show that those students who were diagnosed with a communication disorder were the ones who were struggling with reading was less than half, while the majority were reading on their grade level. And I think that that's really important because a lot of teachers just see that they are diagnosed with a communication disorder and push them aside without really having been tested, like this study did, where they knew what was going on, and the numbers are there. Like, they show that even if a child does have a communication disorder, that does not mean that they necessarily are struggling with reading. And of course, the two are intertwined because language skills are directly related to reading and writing, but we see that every student is different and every outcome is different. Okay, and here's a myth debunked visual. So we have this chart here where it shows all of the moving parts to like what it means to be able to read for a student. So of course, comprehension, fluency, vocabulary, support for reading and writing, oral language, activities, ongoing assessment, and family involvement. And I think that the last two are the most important. In my outside opinion, again, I have not been in the classroom yet, so I cannot speak from experience, but I believe that with the student, the teacher, the speech pathologist, the parent, any outside help, all coming together to continuously assess this child and to be involved in their learning growth, being able to read and all other aspects of the classroom, I think that we will be able to see that child really prosper. Here's another one. And so it says about literacy research in concern with children who have communication disabilities. So children learn written language through active engagement in their world. And I think that's really nicely worded. And like it says, they are all interrelated, and it is important for kids to be active with everything going on in their world because of how it can help them within the classroom. Because like I said before, you have to integrate those real world experiences with reading and writing and speaking. And then this last one here is the language comprehension rope, and I think it is a super cool visual for me anyway, seeing it for the first time, where it has all of these moving parts again that come together to form skilled reading. And I think it's important for future teachers to be aware of this. Of course, in elementary school, probably a little bit more as they are beginning to learn to read. But again, like all throughout school, as students with communication disorders are affected by all of these things. And so I'm going to talk about how the myth is damaging. This myth is it's very prevalent in students with communication disorders and their families, where when a parent believes that their child can never be as smart as the other kids in the classroom, they give up on them, and it's a very sad reality where they are not there to encourage their child and give them the outside help that they need. And then when, of course, a general education teacher believes this myth, like I've said, they push them aside. They believe they're a lost cause. They're not there to help them become a better reader. And then when the student themselves believe that he or she will never be able to read as well as their peers, they give up on themselves, and that's very discouraging because there's so much potential. Everyone deserves the right to read and learn how to read and know how to read, whether or not they have an impairment or a disability or disorder. It doesn't matter. And I think that it's really important for the student to believe in themselves, and that comes from that outside encouragement from the parent, the teacher, and the community as well. And so my plan of action is simple. As a future educator, I will continuously fight for the betterment of students with communication disorders by way of supporting their right to read, write, and learn just as any other student would. I will consciously and forever be aware of the statistics and encourage my colleagues to do the same within whatever school or environment I am in as a future educator. I'll talk with parents to help build a relationship that will be beneficial for the student and that they are receiving all the outside help they need as well as the encouragement from their parents, so that we are all on the same page in order to help them become better readers. And then here are my references. And so again, I just think it's very important for students with communication disorders to be treated just as well as those that can read. And it is absolutely a myth that they cannot read. Thank you.